Weekly. Joining me today is Trevor Smith. He's the founder and CEO of Atomic-6. They're a company developing advanced composite technologies for space application. This includes everything from impact-resistant spacecraft shielding and deployable solar arrays to thermal management systems that help spacecraft survive in some of the harshest environments imaginable. So we're going to be talking about a couple of technologies that they have right now, which is the light wing and space armor. So really pleased to have Trevor joining me on the show. Man, thanks for spending some time with me on the podcast, Trevor.
Dude, excited to be here. Composites Weekly, man. It's super cool. I get a lot of different interviews, but not very many like composite interviews. It's mostly like space
You're
stuff.
on like tech, right? Mostly.
Yeah.
I saw you on LinkedIn talking about the space tech show. What's going on? That's next week.
There's a conference next week in Anaheim. It's Space Tech Expo USA. So they have one in Europe, and then they have one in North America. This one's in Anaheim.
Okay, that sounds really cool.
I'm on a panel talking about the lunar ecosystem and how we're going to power and build permanent infrastructure on the lunar surface.
That is awesome, man. So you're talking on this.
I'm supposed to be talking, yeah.
That is too cool. So where's this located again?
It's in the Anaheim Convention Center.
Okay.
In Anaheim, California.
That's cool, man. I got to put that on the radar. I'd love to. Is that pretty big attendance? I mean, like.
I don't know. This is my first time out to that conference.
Okay.
I know it's very big in Europe.
Yeah.
I don't know about the U.S. show, but it seems pretty big just based on what I've seen on the website. So.
Yeah. Man, that is too cool. Well, tell us before we get started about your company. Tell us a little bit about your background.
So as every great composite company starts out, I have a degree in commercial real estate.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I got a degree in commercial real estate from the University of Mississippi.
Yep.
Go Rebs.
Go
or
Rebs,
whatever
yeah.
our current mascot is. I don't know. They keep changing it. But
it's not Reb. It's not Colonel Reb anymore. That's for sure.
It hasn't been for a long time, but it's still Go Reb.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did real estate for 6 years here in Atlanta. Met my now co-founder. Got exposed to composites.
Yeah.
And so got out of real estate, and I actually started a startup to fund my other startup. So I started 2 companies on the same day. No risk involved whatsoever. My wife was like, "Oh yeah, this will be fine."
Right.
So I started a commercial LED lighting company to fund the research and development for Atomic-6.
Okay.
So the goal was to sort of bootstrap it until we got to a point where it made sense to bring in outside funding.
Yeah.
So we started that in 2018, bootstrapped it for 3 years, trying to figure out, where the best application of this technology is. And then we got our first real opportunity in 2021. We took some outside capital, but at the core of what we do, we have an advanced manufacturing process that really pushes any material set towards its theoretical limit. So for the composite folks listening, we typically use a 2-sided tool, a 2-sided mold. We're in an autoclave process. We typically run higher pressures than you would normally see.
Yeah.
And we are manipulating the fiber, resin, and void content in a very unique manner, allowing us to squeeze out as much performance as possible. So like the very first panel I made, and actually you were talking about Oak Ridge earlier, I presented this at Oak Ridge National Lab, and we were within 2% of the theoretical limit for that given fiber and resin system. Just made a simple flat panel on it. So at that point, that was like 2020, we knew we had a unique process,
right?
And then we just had to figure out where to apply that process.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure your process is proprietary. Can you share the fiber and resin, or is that?
Well, it's agnostic to the fiber and resin.
Okay. So it's really the Okay. So it's the process.
It's the process itself. So if you look at our website, yes, we do a lot in space, but we also have some customers in the hypersonic side. So Hermes is a customer of ours. They're working on hypersonic aircraft. We've done some drone work. There's been maritime opportunities. But if you back up and you say, if this is the highest performing composites in the world,
right,
or as we like to say, this side of Mars, what is the most demanding and harsh environment? Because that's usually where you find the most willingness to pay for that extra performance. Yeah. And so that happens to be in space. And that's really where we found our foothold.
So I want to share this. So I'm switching over here.
Oh yeah.
Look at this space armor.
If you're listening to this on audio, you really should watch it on video.
This video is cool, man. So we're showcasing it right now. So, so the whole purpose of this, and backing up a little while we're watching on video, there's a lot of debris that's. I mean, we've got, I don't know how many satellites right now orbiting space right now.
Well over 13,000 right now.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
But then in addition to that, there's a lot of debris. I mean, and a lot of this, what would you say the size of a lot of the debris that's floating around? I mean,
sure. So we actually, there's a NASA code called ORDM.
Okay.
And it can give you probabilities of that debris. And actually most debris, it's a misunderstanding, but most debris in space is not man-made. It's actually just naturally occurring.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the surface of the moon, it's been hit a lot, right, by micrometeorites and that sort of thing. But over 90% of debris in low Earth orbit, we call it LEO, is actually 3 millimeters or less, which in like the diameter of it. So that's actually what we designed space armor to protect from.
Right.
So we have two different levels of space armor. We have space armor light and max. So space armor light is designed to protect for that 3 millimeter or less projectile, which encompasses over 90% of all debris in space. And it's really interesting because we don't have the capability to track that debris because it's so small. So operators don't know to move, right? They don't know if they're going to get hit because it's untrackable. So that's really one of the reasons we built space armor to that spec is you don't know to move, and it's actually most of the debris up there.
What is the speed that this?
Yeah, so you're watching this video. This video was taken at 1 million frames per second.
Okay.
The projectile is a 3 millimeter aluminum ball moving at Mach 21 or 7.2 kilometers per second, or about 17,000 miles an hour. So that is the velocity of things that you see in low Earth orbit. That's how fast they're moving. Like the International Space Station. That's about as fast as the ISS is moving around.
Wow. The planet. So if you're watching on the screen, the biggest difference is low impact, or you're not seeing a whole lot of secondary debris from space armor compared to the aluminum panel.
Correct. So historically, we have protected the ISS with what's called a Whipple shield, which is multiple plates of metallic shielding. Sometimes they have some Kevlar built in there, so there's some aramid fibers. But when that metal gets hit, you can see in the video, hundreds of pieces of secondary debris are thrown off. Right. Usually more mass is actually ejected than what actually originally penetrated. So when you see that video, that big chunk coming off the backside, that's the aluminum delaminating. That's not the actual projectile. The projectile came in and delaminated the back of the aluminum block. And so you can imagine those pieces are moving really, really fast. They're going to damage your spacecraft. So the thing that hits you actually doesn't even damage you. It's the secondary debris that ends up. Yeah. There's a thing called Kessler syndrome, which is like two satellites hit each other, cause thousands of pieces of debris. Those debris hit other things, and it's just this snowball effect. So one thing when we built space armor was really unique. This secondary debris creation was really minimized because we don't use metal inside space armor. And then another component of that, what Space Force was wanting us to do, we said, could we make a radome for space? So Jonathan, are you familiar with what a radome is? There's a little bubble on top of the fuselage.
Okay.
It's the dome that protects the radar system.
Oh,
So radar dome, radome.
Okay.
Right. So it's protecting the comms from the environment. Okay. So in space, the only thing we've stopped debris from is metal shielding, but metal shielding blocks RF.
Right.
So we designed space armor to block RF or actually allow RF. So we have two versions. We can block it or allow our transmission through it while still stopping debris. And a fun one, we actually are resistant to directed energy as well, which is a totally different conversation for another topic. But it's a really unique piece, and it's our understanding it's the first radome ever built for space. It's the thinnest, lightest debris shield ever. One 6-inch tile, which I'll hold up here. So one of these 6-inch tiles weighs about the same as a smartphone with a case.
Oh wow! Hold that up again. I want to see a bigger. I'm going to take off our.
So this is the impact here, the 3 millimeter impact.
Okay.
It's sitting on this metal plate because we had to run it through vibration testing. Right. So this was the first tile that went all the way through flight qualification.
Oh, wow. And what
So
was,
that, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I'm just curious, qualification on that. What was the time frame on that to get that qualified?
From start to finish, we were about a year and a half in, or sorry, 2 years in from like first idea to getting that tested and through flight qual. And so we announced earlier this year our first customer who's flying this to space will be Portal Space Systems. It's going up on SpaceX Transporter 18 in October. So they're flying 2 tiles on what's called the ram side of the spacecraft, which is like the front bumper, where you would expect to see all the debris.
Yeah. Now you mentioned the larger panels or the thicker are for larger, but 90% of that, 90% of the debris is very, very small.
Yeah, untrackable. So the larger version, we call it Space Armor Max.
Yeah.
That's designed for 12.5 millimeters, so much larger projectiles.
Okay.
And you really only need that level of protection for human-rated spacecraft. So think about private space stations.
Sure.
You want to protect from everything that you can within reason. So you want to add a little more protection. And that's actually what the ISS typically rated for is that 12.5 millimeter protection. And just as a side note, one of our advisors is Commander Chris Hadfield. He's the first Canadian command.
Yeah.
What's that?
I saw I was going to say, I saw the pictures of you two next to each
other. So first Canadian commander of the International Space Station. And I asked Chris, I said, how often is the ISS getting hit? And he said, it sounds like rain on a tin roof, which is like crazy. Because what's crazier is when they do a spacewalk, you're kind of just crossing your fingers, hoping you don't get hit. Like, it's nuts. Spacewalks are super dangerous.
Did he say how often that would last at any given time?
I mean, you can Google, debris impact on the ISS, and the internet is littered with pictures of like, tiny pinholes and hits all over the station.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So I want to transition into the light wing. This is another piece of your technology. And I think that while you're mentioning this, I'm going to transition because I think you have a slide.
Yeah, it's a quick video.
Yeah. Oh, I think I lost that. Can you upload that again?
Yeah, I can.
Or share it again.
I'll share my window here.
Yeah.
Let me know when you can see it.
Yeah, there we go. So I'm going to switch. Oh, yeah, I got to remove that. And then there we go. Yeah, give us an overview of the light wing. This is really cool.
So what you're looking at here, we are using silicon solar cells.
Yep.
So this is a 1,000 watt, or we call it a 1 kilowatt array. So this is a 1 kilowatt array deploying and, more importantly, retracting on an active gravity offloader that we built. So this gravity offloader mimics how we would deploy in space in a zero-G environment. Right. So we can't get rid of gravity, but we can kind of hold it up and right. So there haven't been any solar arrays today that are readily available or flying that can retract and redeploy. So when you offer this redeployment capability, it opens up new concept of operations, or ConOps, as they say in the military. So you can do very unique things like rendezvous, proximity operations, and docking with your satellites. Like, imagine you're trying to come in and you've got a sailboat and it's really windy and you're trying to dock, but the sails are up, right? So you want to bring those sails down so that it's more stable. You have a lower center of gravity and you can dock easier. So doing that helps a lot of different mission sets. Also, in space, when you're looking at other satellites, the solar arrays are a big part of the visual signature of the satellite. So from a military perspective, what happens when we actually bring those in and we adjust the visual signature of that satellite? So it opens up some unique mission sets that are attractive to certain groups of people.
So there's no, in terms of solar panels, that there's nothing that uses this kind of retractable. They're all already out, folded out, or
as far as I'm aware, solar arrays today are a one-time deployment, right? So they deploy out and they stay out. Yeah.
Yep. Awesome, man. That is cool.
The other thing we're working on with this is let's see, here's the picture here. So I was talking about the moon earlier. Can you see I got to change the window. Hang on. So we're working on some stuff for the moon.
Right.
And this is a lunar vertical solar array tower. So imagine the thing that I just showed you, but deploying vertically on the lunar surface. So this is in the back of our warehouse. It's about 10 meters tall, or 33 feet, 12-inch diameter in width. 12 inches in diameter, and is the largest diameter deployable mast built for space on the unclassified side that we are aware of. And this is just the demo unit. So we're working on 50 kilowatt, 50,000 watt versions of this that'll be on the lunar surface, powering those rovers, those robots, all the computers we'll need, the infrastructure for habitation.
Sure.
It'll be super cool to look up and see these large solar arrays coming off the lunar surface.
That is amazing. And in terms of comparing these outside of, I'm sure they're significantly lighter than your typical solar panels.
Yeah, just to kind of speak in general,
Yeah.
on the space side, we have a metric called watts per kilogram. So how much power to how much mass.
Yeah.
On the low side, solar arrays can be in that 30 watts per kilogram. And on the high side, excluding us, some of them are like 100, 120 watts per kilogram. We are pushing 200 watts per kilogram on our satellite-sized solar arrays. But when you get into the lunar, you're looking at really, really big wings. So your watts per kilo can push up to like 350 watts per kilogram.
Yeah.
So some really, really great power per mass, which is critical because getting things to the moon is super expensive.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those trips aren't cheap, are they?
Yeah. Well, actually, sitting behind me, I can just show you. This is the 12-inch diameter mass. So it actually flattens just like a tape measure.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And then pops back out. But it's super lightweight.
And you guys are located down in Atlanta, right?
Yeah, Marietta, Georgia, just outside.
Yeah, that's just outside. How big's your team right now?
We are 12 full time, and we are looking to build a much larger production facility that'll do about 5 megawatts worth of solar array later this year.
Wow. We were talking before the show about data centers. Those can take some time because I know there's a lot of pushback. I've been reading a lot of pushback in certain areas of the country where people don't want them, right? Because
even here in Georgia, they're pushing back.
Yeah. So, we keep hearing about, orbital data centers is also an alternative. I mean, and you guys, you were talking about the earlier you had mentioned, what is it, the OCD site? ODC. I'm sorry, ODC. Yeah.
OCD is a little different. Yeah, orbital data centers. So the website is ODC.space.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, ODC. So talk about your work there, because this is super intriguing with what's going on. Because I mean, these things are energy intensive. If you would talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So the top two things, right? When you look at data centers, what do you think of when I say what are the top two things you need for data centers?
You need water. Right. Well, you don't need water as much anymore, right?
Well, you need cooling.
Yeah. But they're not requiring water as much for cooling anymore, are they?
I can't speak. You just need cooling in general. Well, however you get there.
Right.
Yeah. And then the other piece you need is power.
Oh, yeah. Of course, you need power.
You need power and cooling, right? Yep. So those are the two big topics.
Yeah.
So space is pretty unique because we have this infinite free resource called the sun.
Sure.
For power.
Yep.
And then cooling, space is pretty cold, but it operates in a vacuum. So you have to use radiative cooling, which we do on the International Space Station today. So if you Google pictures of the ISS, you'll see solar arrays kind of like this, and then you'll see radiators orthogonal to that, pointing to cold deep space. So the idea is, can we capture the free energy of the sun and the coldness of space to power and cool, this compute that's needed? And so I think you'll end up seeing both terrestrial and space data centers. So that what's interesting, as terrestrial scales, the costs go up, but as space scales data centers, the cost goes down. We have a much quicker way to, so in this instance, space is actually faster than terrestrial. So ODC.space, for background context, is the first marketplace ecosystem in the world to put a publicly available price point for launching your own data center into space.
Yeah.
So I give the metaphor, imagine walking into the cell phone store and you have a small cell phone or a big cell phone and you pick your connectivity plan. That's kind of what we have on the website today. You pick how much compute you want and you pick your connectivity speed. And then we can give you a monthly quote on what that costs using today's launch costs, right? So launch costs are coming down, but they're still pretty high. So today's costs for data centers in space are not, on par with what it costs to build terrestrially, but we can put them up a lot faster.
Right.
So it's kind of like going to Disney World and getting the fast pass, right? So you pay the premium, but you can put your compute chips up much, much faster. Like think if you've booked your launch cost, if you've booked your launch in advance, you can be launching new chips every 6 to 8 weeks versus 5 to 10 years to turn on data centers. So it's becoming a compelling argument, and it's pulling that power drain from the energy grid on Earth and putting it into space. So freeing up some resources. So that's one big reason people are liking it. But the other reason, we're building out the space economy, and we genuinely need large amounts of compute in the space domain.
Right.
So not necessarily for training, large language models or doing inference or like looking up the coolest pizza recipe like you would use ChatGPT for or whatever.
Yeah.
But we actually need large compute in the space domain, and we cannot leverage terrestrial data centers to do that service.
Right.
So my compelling argument to the world is, don't start your comparison with, space orbital data centers are so much more expensive than terrestrial. There are customers in space that need it. So there's no way for them to leverage terrestrial data centers. So like there's no cost comparison. The service costs what it costs given today's launch costs. So there's some interesting things. And then with the lunar, you've got the latency from the moon back to the Earth. We will need compute on the lunar surface to be able to do a lot of the robotic building and infrastructure that's needed that you just can't control from Earth because of that time delay.
Not to mention, we were talking earlier, all the red tape, it seems like these are probably less likely to get tied up in red tape. And
ironically, it's way easier to get, license to launch than it is to get a license for like a new terrestrial data center.
Sure. Yeah.
It's a pretty compelling argument, and especially if we figure out how to build in situ from the moon. Elon's talking about building solar arrays and building satellites for data centers from the lunar surface, and then not even using rockets to launch them. He's using what's called mass drivers. Think like magnetic rails, where they're just sending it out into orbit, not even using rockets, which really drives the price down. But like, it's a little farther out in the future, so we'll see if that happens.
So I was reading that like cooling equipment in space is often harder than heating it. Is that true?
Yeah. So it's funny because you would think everything in space is probably cold.
Thanks.
Well, like I have the Yeti little koozie right here.
Yeah.
The reason your Yeti koozie works is because it's in a vacuum, right? It keeps your drink cold or hot, right? So satellites, there's so much computer heat generated from all the compute going on, the propulsion. They're really hot boxes. So you've got to get the heat out some way. Yeah. So when you have these large solar arrays bringing all this energy in, you've got to somehow dissipate that energy out. Yeah. So that's why these radiators are needed. Yeah. And it is so much harder because you're in vacuum. You need that surface area to deploy those radiators. Does that help answer your question?
Yeah, it does. It does. Man, this is fascinating. Have you guys been? Are you guys collaborating with companies like SpaceX or any companies like that are?
I won't comment on.
Yeah, I mean,
on SpaceX collaboration. Yeah. But we do have customers looking to build things on the lunar environment, which is why we built that large mass that I showed you. Our most recent customer announcement was Space. Yeah. They are doing space-based solar power. So they're actually gathering energy from the sun and then beaming that power to other satellites who are in the shadow of the Earth. Okay. So they can operate while they're not looking, while the satellite's not facing the sun. There's Portal Space, which I mentioned is flying space armor. We actually early last year, we made an announcement. We are powering the first data centers in lunar orbit. So our customer Lone Star Data will be flying 6 satellites around the moon in lunar orbit. and they'll be using our solar arrays. So
nice.
That video that I showed you of that deployable solar array also deploys really anything that's flat. So you mentioned the radiator piece of it. Our other products, so Lightwing is our solar array product. Hot Wing is our radiator product, which comes in all barbecue, Thai spicy, Cajun rub, whatever you want.
Awesome.
But the cool thing is we get to use that same architecture to deploy radiators.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's just flat surface area. So we have a very unique deployable architecture for surface area that allows us to do solar, radiator. You could even do like phased arrays because those are flat. But anything that's flat. And so when data centers come up, it's like power and thermal. That's what you need. And just so happen, our deployable architecture can deploy both the power and the thermal systems.
Wow. Man, this has been fantastic. Last question, if we're having this conversation in 10 years from now, what do you think the orbital infrastructure economy looks like?
The orbital infrastructure economy?
Yeah.
Well, Elon filed a license to have 1 million orbital data center satellites. So that would be interesting to have 1 million satellites up in orbit, just doing data centers.
To think about, yeah.
Jared Isaacman, our newest director of NASA, our administrator, or director, I don't know, said that in 2032, he plans to have a permanent human presence on the moon. But before then, we're going to be launching monthly missions, unmanned missions to the moon. Yeah. So you're going to see the lunar economy being built out. There's going to be mining for helium-3, lots of resources being utilized from the lunar surface. So I think we're going to have lots and lots of satellites. I'm really hoping that we have lots of launch providers. Right now, SpaceX is kind of the one. There are lots of other players trying to catch up. So I hope we have competitive launch. I hope we have a thriving lunar economy. We should have private space stations in low Earth orbit that you can visit and stay at overnight as a tourist. It should be a really, really fun next decade. I mean, this is the Wild West for space, and composites writ large are needed for this industry. So I think the composite industry should really start taking a look at all the new opportunities that are opening up in the space industry.
Yeah, it's a great time, certainly for our industry. You mentioned the Space Tech Expo next week. What other shows do you guys are you guys attending?
So my engineer guys, they come to CAMX, right? They do SAMPI and CAMX. On the business development side, because we are so space focused, we have Space Symposium, which is in Colorado Springs, Colorado. That's in early April. Yeah. There is Small Sat, which is in Salt Lake City in Utah. So that's in August. And there is a handful of other sort of conferences in Orlando, like SpaceCom and Space Power that Space Force puts on. But there's like a space conference every 2 weeks or 1 week. I've been on a plane, I feel like every week since the middle of January going to some space conference.
Nice. Oh man, this
is and now I'm going to data center conferences. I'm going.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
There's one called YADA, which is in Vegas at the end of September. I'm going to be talking. I'm on a panel talking to the terrestrial data center world about how they can operate in space. So now I'm attending not just space conferences, but data center conferences.
That's incredible. And then I mean, nowadays it's like every day you're hearing about, a data center being built or a proposed data center in some part of the country. So, I mean, they're just going up everywhere, but we've got to have them, right? I mean, they're with AI and technology moving forward. I mean, they need to be powered. So
if you look at human history, we have never had a less demand for compute and energy. It's always been exponentially more.
Yep.
Right. So as humans evolve as a species, we've always wanted to consume more and more energy, no matter how efficient the compute might be. Just, we'll solve the problem by making more efficient compute. Well, when you do that, we're just going to want more energy to do the more efficient compute. Right. So like no one ever said I wanted a slower laptop or a slower cell phone. Right? You always want more power, more energy, more compute. So it's an interesting time to be in the space industry for sure.
No doubt. Trevor, it's been a pleasure, man, having you on the podcast. We got to do this again sometime, maybe do a follow-up. I've got the website posted, atomic-6.com. People can learn more, and we'll be posting the links on our show page for this episode. So Man, great to catch up, and best of success for you and your company moving forward. And I hope you have a great talk out at the conference next week out in Anaheim. That should be fun. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I actually got to speak at the New York Stock Exchange a few weeks ago. They had their space summit.
Yeah.
So Bloomberg interviewed me from the floor of the stock exchange, and Schwab, and
Nice.
and the panel was on orbital data centers. So it was quite wild. But
Yeah.
for your listeners, we will be hiring later this year. So I'd love, you can look up our website. We'll be posting some stuff, but
Perfect.
we will need a lot of engineers, a lot of composite technicians.
Okay.
So we'll stay on the lookout for that.
You're growing the team. I love it.
12 going on 400.
Perfect.
Well, Jonathan, I'll back up because we didn't cover it, but the reason for that, we have submitted over $4 billion in requests for proposals just for our solar array system. So
Okay.
we will be building a lot of composite structures for space, and we're going to need a lot of people to help us do it.
That's awesome. Trevor, it's been fun, man. Hope you have a great weekend. Let's catch up again soon.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me on.
Yep.